Hello and welcome to this new edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. The Disaster Management Amendment Bill 2024 introduced in the Lok Sabha. National Green Tribunal asks MoEFCC to finalize deadline for declaring Western Ghats an eco-sensitive zone. Supreme Court allows subclassification in SC/ST for quota. World Bank releases the World Development Report 2024 Middle Income Trap. State visit of Prime Minister of Vietnam to India. Donor agreement signed between Ministry of Ayush, Government of India and World Health Organization. In our first news, let us look at an important update from the Lok Sabha where the Disaster Management Amendment Bill 2024 was introduced. This bill aims to amend the Disaster Management Act of 2005, enhancing disaster management's integration into development plans as recommended by the 15th Finance Commission. One of the key features of this bill is the establishment of a comprehensive disaster database at both national and state levels. This database will encompass disaster assessments, fund allocation details, expenditure records, preparedness and mitigation plans, and a risk register, ensuring a holistic approach to disaster management. The bill also empowers the National Disaster Management Authority or NDMA and State Disaster Management Authorities or SDMA to prepare disaster plans at the national and state levels respectively. This responsibility was previously held by the National Executive Committee and State Executive Committees. The national plan is mandated to be reviewed every 3 years and updated at least once every 5 years, ensuring that disaster management strategies remain current and effective. Recognizing the unique challenges faced by urban areas, the bill proposes the creation of urban disaster management authorities for state capitals and large cities with municipal corporations. The bill also provides statutory recognition to existing bodies such as the National Crisis Management Committee, the nodal body for major disasters, and the high-level committee responsible for approving financial assistance. Additionally, the bill enables state governments to constitute their own state disaster response forces. This provision aims to enhance the disaster response capabilities at the state level, ensuring a swift and efficient response to emergencies. To provide some context, let's briefly revisit the key provisions of the Disaster Management Act of 2005. The Act establishes a 3-tier institutional structure for disaster management at the national level. The NDMA is headed by the Prime Minister. At the state level, the SDMAs are headed by the respective chief ministers. And at the district level, the district disaster management authorities are headed by the district collector, district magistrate, or deputy commissioner. The Act also established the National Disaster Response Force, a specialized response unit, and the National Disaster Response Fund designed to address threatening disaster situations. In conclusion, the Disaster Management Amendment Bill 2024 marks a significant step towards strengthening India's disaster management framework.
In a pivotal decision for environmental conservation, the National Green Tribunal has urged the Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change to finalize a deadline for declaring the Western Ghats an eco-sensitive zone. This directive comes as a follow-up to the draft notification issued in July 2022, which aimed to safeguard the rich biodiversity of this critical region. The Western Ghats, a sprawling mountain range extending across 6 Indian states, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, are renowned for their dense forests and diverse endemic species. In 2011, the Gadgil panel recommended declaring the entire Western Ghats as an ecologically sensitive area, given its ecological significance. However, a subsequent review by the Kasturi Rangan Committee led to a more nuanced draft notification. The central government issued a draft notification for declaring the Western Ghats eco-sensitive area following the panel's recommendations. Now, let's delve deeper and understand the draft notification 2022. The 2022 draft notification proposed strict regulations on human activities in the region. It restricts potentially harmful activities like mining, quarrying, sand mining, and establishing new thermal power projects. Some activities, such as the hydropower projects, would be regulated, while others, like existing healthcare facilities and agricultural practices, would remain unrestricted. The draft also proposed the establishment of a decision support and monitoring center to oversee the ecological status of the Western Ghats. While the draft notification aims to protect the Western Ghats' unique ecological resources, it has sparked controversy. Local communities and state governments have raised concerns about potential impacts on livelihoods and development activities. Moreover, states argue that the draft was issued without a comprehensive scientific survey to delineate the ecologically sensitive area's boundaries. Furthermore, for those unfamiliar, eco-sensitive zones as defined by the National Environment Policy 2006 are areas requiring special conservation measures due to their unique environmental resources. As per the National Wildlife Action Plan, ESAs typically lie within 10 kilometers of protected areas such as national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. These zones are notified and regulated by the MOE-FCC under the Environment Protection Act of 1986.
In our next news, the Supreme Court has recently made a significant ruling allowing the subclassification of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes for quotas. This decision came from the case of State of Punjab and others versus Devinder Singh and others 2024. The ruling permits states to create additional quotas for more disadvantaged groups within these categories, marking a departure from the earlier judgment in the E.V. Chinnaya case of 2005. In that case, the Supreme Court held that all the castes in the presidential order under Article 341 Clause 1 formed one homogeneous class and could not be further subdivided. Article 341 Clause 1 gives the President of India the authority to officially designate certain groups as scheduled caste in any state or union territory. In this new judgment, the Supreme Court emphasized that states cannot earmark 100% reservation for a subclass while allowing subclassification. Additionally, the governments must conduct an empirical study before proceeding with any subclassification. Moreover, the power of the state to subclassify is subject to judicial review. Importantly, the subclassification does not violate the principle of equality under Article 14, nor the President's exclusive authority under Article 341 to identify SCs. The Supreme Court also expressed the need to exclude the creamy layer among the scheduled caste from the reservation benefits meant for the SC categories. Currently, the concept of the creamy layer is only applicable to the reservation for other backward classes or OBCs. In conclusion, this ruling opens up new avenues for ensuring that the most disadvantaged groups within the SC and ST categories receive the benefits they truly deserve.
In a landmark release, the World Bank unveiled its World Development Report 2024, focusing on the persistent challenge known as the middle income trap. This comprehensive roadmap aims to guide developing nations in breaking free from the economic stagnation that often accompanies middle income status. The middle income trap refers to a scenario where a country's annual GDP per capita falls between $1,136 and $13,845. And growth slows as the nation struggles to transition to new economic structures necessary for achieving high income levels. The report highlights that as countries grow wealthier, they often hit a growth ceiling at around 10% of the annual US GDP per capita, roughly $8,000, and fail to progress further. Since 1990, only 34 middle-income countries have successfully transitioned to high-income status. At the end of 2023, 108 countries were classified as MICs, collectively home to 75% of the global population and generating over 40% of global GDP. These nations face several challenges, including rapidly aging populations, rising protectionism in advanced economies, and the urgent need to accelerate the energy transition. India, for instance, joined the club of lower middle-income countries in 2007 and has remained there with a current GNI per capita of $2,540. At this rate, it could take India 75 years to reach just a quarter of the US income per capita. To address these challenges, the report outlines a 3I strategy: investment, infusion, and innovation. Initially, countries should focus on boosting investment, then emphasize the infusion of new technologies, and finally, adopt a balanced approach that integrates all three elements. The report also recommends rewarding value-adding firms to stimulate business dynamism, deepening capital markets, and enhancing social mobility by providing equal opportunities to women, minorities, and disadvantaged groups. For example, removing barriers to entrepreneurship for women in India could potentially increase real income by 40%. Additionally, it advocates for enhancing economic efficiency by incorporating environmental costs into energy prices. In our next news, the Prime Minister of Vietnam embarked on a significant state visit to India, reinforcing the robust ties between the two nations. This visit marks a pivotal moment in the Indo-Vietnamese relationship, with both countries considering each other as essential pillars in their regional strategies. Vietnam is a key partner in India's Act East policy and the broader Indo-Pacific vision. During the visit, a comprehensive plan of action for implementing the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership from 2024 to 2028 was adopted. Notably, several memorandums of understanding were signed covering areas such as customs capacity building, agricultural research and education, the legal field, radio and television, and medicinal plants. These agreements signify a shared commitment to strengthening institutional and people-to-people ties. In a move to boost defense collaboration, India extended a $300 million line of credit to Vietnam for defense procurement. Furthermore, Vietnam announced its decision to join the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, or CDRI, highlighting the growing partnership in regional stability and disaster resilience. Both leaders emphasized the importance of a free, open, and rules-based Indo-Pacific, rejecting expansionism in favor of peaceful evolution. This visit also underscores the historical bond between the two nations, dating back to the establishment of full diplomatic relations in 1972, and further elevated to a comprehensive strategic partnership in 2016. In terms of development cooperation, India is actively engaged in quick impact projects under the Mekong-Ganga Cooperation Framework. India is also involved in the restoration and conservation of the Mai San UNESCO World Heritage Site. On the economic front, bilateral trade reached $14.82 billion in the fiscal year 2024, with Indian exports to Vietnam at $5.47 billion and imports from Vietnam at $9.35 billion. Defense cooperation has also been a cornerstone of their relationship, highlighted by the joint vision statement on India-Vietnam Defense Partnership towards 2030, joint military exercises like WinBAX, and the multilateral naval exercise Milan. In summary, as India and Vietnam continue to deepen their multifaceted partnership, this visit marks a new chapter in their shared journey towards peace, prosperity, and mutual growth.
In our next news, the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, and the World Health Organization have signed a donor agreement, marking a significant step in the field of traditional medicine. This agreement recognizes the establishment of the WHO Global Traditional Medicine Center, or GTMC, as a key knowledge hub. The GTMC aims to advance health and well-being through evidence-based traditional complementary and integrative medicine, or TCIM. As part of this partnership, India has committed to donating $85 million over a period of 10 years from 2022 to 2032 to support the operations of the WHO GTMC, which is based in Jamnagar, Gujarat, India. Traditional medicine encompasses the knowledge and practices rooted in the beliefs and the experiences unique to different cultures. These are used for the prevention, diagnosis, or treatment of illnesses. Some examples of traditional medicines include herbal medicine, yoga, Ayurveda, and acupuncture. Today, more than 80% of the world's population across over 170 of WHO's 194 member states utilizes some form of traditional medicine. The importance of traditional medicine was also highlighted in the 2018 Declaration of Astana on Primary Healthcare, which acknowledges the need to incorporate traditional medicine knowledge and technologies into primary healthcare delivery. However, there are concerns about traditional medicine. Traditional medicine products can have negative health effects, especially when combined with other medications or taken in high doses. Moreover, many traditional medicine products remain unregulated, posing risk to consumers. To address these issues and promote traditional medicine, several initiatives have been taken. The National Ayush Mission aims to provide better access to Ayush services by upgrading and establishing Ayush hospitals and dispensaries. The Ayush Aushadhi Gunvatta Evam Utpadan Samvardhan Yojana focuses on developing traditional medicine products. Additionally, the Ayush Swasthya program provides financial assistance to eligible organizations and institutes for establishing and upgrading research and development activities in the field of Ayush. In conclusion, the signing of this donor agreement marks a crucial step toward recognizing and promoting traditional medicine as an integral part of global healthcare.
In today's personality news, we will discuss Lokmanya'Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He was born at Ratnagiri in Maharashtra and was a scholar, philosopher, nationalist, and more. In terms of his key contributions and work, he advocated for Swaraj and was one of the first leaders to demand complete independence from British rule. He had established the Home Rule League in April 1916 at Belagavi. Annie Besant had also launched a Home Rule League. The two leagues never merged. He founded two newspapers, Kesari in Marathi and the Maratha in English. He composed the Gita Rahasya. He also displayed values of patriotism, courage, perseverance, and more.
As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. A study has investigated the influence of kindlins in various cancers as targeting it could lead to new cancer treatments. Kindlins are adapted proteins that exist inside the cells attached to the cell membranes of almost all types of cells in vertebrates. Indian astronomers discovered 34 new giant radio sources using Giant Meter Wave Radio Telescope. Located near Pune, GMRT is operated by National Center for Radio Astrophysics and consists of 30 fully steerable, gigantic parabolic dishes for research using meter wavelength range of radio spectrum. A study reported the impact of woody encroachment on open ecosystems. Woody encroachment is the increase of tree and shrub cover, and it is widespread across most ecosystems. It entails the conversion of open habitats to habitats with greater tree cover and/or shrub density. Athletes are turning to genetic testing for improving their performance. Genetic testing analyzes an individual's DNA to identify genetic variants that may influence various traits, including athletic performance, health risks, and nutritional needs. National Payments Corporation of India temporarily suspends payments in banks possibly affected by ransomware attack. Ransomware is a type of malware that holds a victim's sensitive data or device hostage, threatening to keep it locked unless the victim pays a ransom to the attacker. States can purchase rice from Food Corporation of India under the OMS's domestic without participating in e-auction from August 1, 2024. It aims to reduce the huge surplus of stocks prior to the commencement of the new procurement season. World Trade Statistical Review, or WTSR 2023, is the WTO's flagship statistical publication. WTSR 2023 looks into the latest developments in world trade, featuring key data on global trade in merchandise and commercial services. Scientists discovered 6 new lineages of bent-toed geckos from the northeast. Bent-toed geckos have been discovered from Arunachal Pradesh in Namdapha and Kamlang Tiger Reserves, Nagaland, Manipur, and Mizoram in Ningpui Wildlife Sanctuary. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Knowledge. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solution to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.